Hello, and welcome to another update video about Bitcoin. Yeah, the latest price action, it again makes it quite boring again, and I'm starting to run out of things to say. So it will just be a quick update as we're basically waiting for Bitcoin to make a decision. The overall primary scenario is still that we should get one more high in wave 5 of 1. This is the daily chart. I explained that also to you in yesterday's video again. So we've got this 1-2 setup where the wave 2 bottomed in September. That's at least the current assumption. There is a bearish scenario, of course, which is this high B wave. We see that on some altcoin charts as well, as potentially Rune, as potentially Solana, at least as a risk, not really as a prediction, but more as a risk that we need to understand that after that one more high here, if we form a fifth wave, this could also complete an ABC structure. Okay, so I talked about that. Basically, we have 5 waves up in wave 1, which could also be an A wave of the B wave. Okay, a B wave consists of an ABC structure. The pullback, which was quite shallow, which is unusual for a wave 2, could be a B wave. B waves are very diverse. They can be very short and very long. So that gives me a view that this could just be a B wave. And then if we form a C wave of B, which has a similar length than A, then this increases the probabilities that this is, even though it's impulsive, that this is just a C wave, which gives me, well, wave C often has the same length as wave A or a similar length. And that would be here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if we push into the upper half of that box, closer towards 43 to 50K, then this is basically an ABC structure and it could form the B wave. And we could then come down to completely new lows. That's just a risk that I just want to bring up every few videos because, yeah, we just need to understand it, right? There's always a bear around the corner. We cannot rule it out until we have 5 waves up, 3 waves down. So that means what we need to see from the bulls is a rally into that ideally, well, it doesn't need to get into the white box to be fair, but this would be on the daily chart. These would be ideal projections. To be honest, we're already in the projection range for wave 1 of 3 because it starts at the 38.2 extension level, but we haven't got 5 waves up. So the next extension level that's meaningful is going to be 38,270. Ideally, we're going to get there and touch it and then start a wave 2 pullback. Could stretch out to 43K in the current scenario. No problem if it goes higher than that. I could still count it as the white count, but it would shift probabilities towards yellow, or at least it would increase the risk. There's no panic if we get there, there's no need for panic, but we need to understand that that risk increases. Okay, let me know if you have any questions about that, but it's always when we have an A wave and the C wave as roughly the same length connected with a corrective structure that this gives us a potential B wave risk. Let's go to the shorter time frame wave count. Here the situation really is unchanged. Really boring. Again, upward sloping, yes, but very, very choppy. So that typically indicates that a break to the downside should happen at some point because these are typically patterns of exhaustion. Now, normally what we want to see is some kind of an ascending wedge. I don't see that here, so I haven't got a clear pattern where I could draw a trend lines. I mean, it might be a trend channel that's moving up here, all right, but I don't want to introduce even more lines. So at least this lower trend line is going to be relevant here possibly. If that breaks, it might indicate that we are finally coming down here in this Y wave. Okay, so there are there's one scenario in which we're watching for higher prices still because we'd like to see that one more extension that I explained to you on the daily chart. Okay, so one more high is expected, is reasonable in this wave 5. The question is just, does it take the more direct route here in 5 waves to the upside? Okay. This is one of the probable wave counts where it could do that as an ending diagonal in wave 5. Okay. And so far that's working out nicely. Showed you that count a couple of days ago as potential ending diagonal that Bitcoin could follow. And it's filling it in so far nicely, but it's not done in a way that I would rule out the move to the downside. I think that is still something we need to consider. They're both they're both likely counts, otherwise I wouldn't show them to you. Yeah, hard to say. I mean, I said yesterday I'm slightly leaning towards a dip. Then we had that small rally here. Hard to say. Yeah, I mean, they're both part of the same scenario. I don't even I wouldn't really say, they're not, they're part of the same scenario. I can't say more about that. So it's one more high is expected, either directly. If a pullback shows, I think that could be an opportunity, maybe for a pullback trade to scale into support before then we get that last wave up. We haven't got 5 waves yet, so we are basically in the middle of wave 5 if it's already filling in. But again, it's so choppy that I cannot clearly say, okay, this is the white microstructure, or this was just an X wave in an ABC. So ABC wave in X, which would then result in the Y wave to the downside. But the move down of yesterday's high is corrective, okay? So this is the overlapping price action. So it's landing in the support area between 34,850 and 35,260. And from here, ideally, as long as this support holds, we could have it as a jump off point for a C wave. But this is microstructure that needs constant adjustment, so don't treat it as predictive. If we go down or up directly, that's basically the same count. It just depends on how the market wants to create the current correction. In both scenarios, it's a wave 4. In the white microstructure, the wave 4 already finished on Friday with a pullback. It is still unfolding. Okay, so yeah, these are two likely scenarios that one of them should nail it ideally. And is it possible all 5 waves are already in? For me, less likely. Okay, so this is sort of what I'm watching at the moment, but tracking obviously the relevant support levels for a more bearish scenario. So, if we start to break below the first support box here, we are gonna land in the next one. But if we break below 29,555, then the alternative wave count would come into play, which is basically the bearish scenario in which we could see 20K or even lower. That will remain to be seen. But this is the key threshold where I say, okay, I have to flip bearish, starting already below 30,600, but definitely below 29,555. Until then, this primary wave count is just being, playing out and has been playing out for the last couple of weeks, climbing higher. But I'd still like to see that one more high in wave 5. Yeah, that's my update about Bitcoin. I hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.